Both of
Where?
us.
Woo.
Dan Schinder, Jason Gianni from Stratospheerius, Ultimate Queen Celebration, author of The Drummer's Bible. You're like up to what? You've sold like 13 copies so far?
Add a couple zeros, baby.
How long's that been out?
2003.
Wow, it's been that long?
Yeah, this is our 21st year. I put a like a little celebration post up last like just the beginning of this year.
I remember
And
that, but I didn't
yeah,
remember it was that long. I knew it was out before we met each other, which
yeah.
was 10, 11 years ago. But just real quick, like why should drummers why should they buy it? What will they get out of it?
Well, just a little
300
background
words or less.
story.
Tell us.
Well, let me start counting. Just a little background. Now, when we were writing it, one of the things I noticed is that there were very few books that had a combination of like the basics, well, really not even the basics, but the very essentials of grooves in all styles, mixed
Yeah.
with any sort of history based on those
Yeah.
styles. There were a couple books that had like, oh, here's how to play a samba. Now here's how to play 35 different versions of a samba or something. It's like, well, what's the one version how to play the right way, you know?
Right.
And there was just nothing with history. And I was speaking to my co-author Mick Barry, and he said, you should write a book. And I said, funny enough, when I was auditioning for graduate degrees, I put together a little manual about how to teach all these different styles. I said, I got this thing started already. Why don't we start going from there? And that's kind of how it went about. And, it's supposed to be sort of an encyclopedia. The problem with that is we have to continue to always update it, and
Right.
that's tricky. Every 10 years, we need to go, okay, what styles have come out, what has changed in the history, all that sort of stuff. So,
And in these 21 years, there's been a lot. I mean, in those 20 years, 18 years ago, just throwing a dart, there was no such thing as gospel chops or certain types of even grooves and things like that. So how many revisions has it gone through, and how many, dare I ask, should it have gone through?
well, that's
where you just could have added stuff more frequently, because there are that many changes in music, really, right?
Yeah, well, I actually find it good that I have a publisher who has all the stuff in his computer, because if I did, I'd probably be at it every day going, okay, we need to change this, we need to change this. But yeah, it's a lot of it is for me, a lot of it is also a revision of stuff that I've done that along the way, like teaching at the Drummers Collective for as long as the book has been out almost, I've kind of just tweaked and said, okay, this is the way that I learned this style on the way up. But since I've been around this guy and that guy and this guy with all these specific styles, I realized, well, we don't play that groove anymore. Or they
Yeah, I
don't.
was going to ask if you looked back and looked at certain things in a different way as you gained
Absolutely.
experience. Great.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a big part of the last revision. So to answer your question, we did one big revision. So we're on our second edition now. And we should probably do a third one at some point. The second edition added 100 pages to the book, and it was already,
wow.
yeah. So now we're up to like 220 pages or something like that. So,
Wow.
yeah. So it's definitely a labor of love, and I'm about to release my second book, which I'm really excited about. That has nothing to do with the Drummer's Bible, but it's definitely, we got to kind of keep an eye on this while we're developing this. So
Yeah.
a lot of upkeep.
And when's that due out? Do you know?
So it's any day now. I'm actually waiting on the last bit of information to be edited by Terry Branham, who does editing for Hudson Music.
Yeah.
And we're gonna. It should be out any day. I've kind of delayed it a little bit for a variety of reasons, but I'm sure we were going to talk about this at some point. But the book is the first series of my polymetric, polyrhythmic sort of, lifetime worth of study kind of book.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a be all end all, polyrhythmic or polymetric Bible, whatever. And as we started to develop it, there was so much stuff going into it that they said, it's good to cut these type of books off at around 100 plus pages. And I said, guys, I got about 100 more to go. And they said, well, let's figure out a way to make this into a series, like a two or three part book. Okay. So part one is now done. We just got to do some pictures and, all the sort of the fluffiness of the book. But it should be out. Really, I'm waiting on this last edit, and within the next maybe month or two, it should be out. And then what we're going to do from a social media or a media standpoint in general is film some videos as we go along.
Great. I was
So,
going to ask you that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
so Hudson's gonna put that on their website, and we'll do, like, this example, and then we'll film the next one that's a little bit more difficult, the next one more difficult, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's great. Congratulations on that. One more question on that. Why does it matter how many pages it has?
Um, that's a great question. I think a lot of it. I might be answering for Hudson, so I don't want to really step over that. But I think a lot of it
You
has
could
to
give your
do.
take though, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with the fact that uh, the what's the word I'm looking for? The promotion, maybe, of books and videos and DVDs and so on and so forth is so different now. You
Yeah.
know, I think there was this sort of endless uh, barrier before of like, hey, just do what you want and we'll find a way to sell it. And I don't think it's really that case anymore. Now it's like it needs to fit more in a pretty little package. There's definitely a combination of selling products now that's based on not only hard copy but digital, maybe even more digital. And
Yeah.
Hudson obviously signs a lot of people, so maybe it's about also kind of keeping everybody kind of in the same square.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
maybe even workload on their part, which I could respect and appreciate. Yeah.
absolutely. Although this book has been 100% me. I mean, Terry is my editor, and he's done a fabulous job. But I've done everything, all the finale snippets, all the layout. Terry kind of moves things around and gets it into sort of the Hudson template. But
Yeah.
I've done everything. So that's one of the reasons I thought we would be able to swing as many pages as we could because I'm basically doing the whole thing.
Right.
But then Rob and Joe from Hudson said, we need to really sort of start to wrap this up around 100 pages. And I said, guys, I got a long way to go. So we're stopping at a certain point, and that's going to be part one, and then we'll take it off
Cool.
from there. Yeah,
Well, when you start doing the videos, we'll have you back on. We'll talk about the book and show some videos. But in the
terrific.
meantime, I have this beautiful album cover that some jackass scribbled all over. Or there's a quote in one.
This is the one without the jackass
Yes.
scribble.
Yeah, and here's and I gotta give a shout out to your lovely wife Jody, who did the artwork and everything, and she did such a great job.
Amazing.
It's beautiful. It really puts you somewhere, as does the music. I mean, it really has that vibe of Roger Dean's artwork, the way it fits Yes music, the way it fits uh, uh, Uriah Heep's music, the way it fits Asia's music. This, like, you get a feel for what the album's about in a way here, which is really cool. I wonder, did she listen to this music to develop the cover? Did she have any direction on it, or was just totally, well, talk about that? Because you don't judge a book by your cover, but let's face it, the album music and the cover, when there's clearly a fit, it seems to be so much more of a cohesive vibe, and this has that. And we'll talk about
Well,
that. We'll talk
well,
about the music too in a minute, but
yeah. I mean, how many times have you heard people back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, say, hey, I waltzed into this record store and I pulled out a record and I saw the cover and went, I got to buy that.
yeah, yeah,
So to answer your question, well, obviously she knows the type of music I listen to mostly, and she certainly knows what Stratospheerius is about and where this is all coming from a root perspective of Joe's involvement. We'll talk about, the whole band and everything. But actually, her and my favorite cover designer is Hugh Syme, who
oh, from
created,
Rush.
yeah, from Rush and Megadeth and those, and he has
Yeah,
this great cover by the band Damn the Machine back in the early '90s, and
yeah,
we love his work, love it, and that's kind of what we went after, or she went after. I kind of said
cool.
to her, listen, can you do something like that? She'll do the best. She said, I'll do the best I can. And
Great.
she really knocked it out of the park. It's just so awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and the music's okay too. Let's talk
Just
about
okay.
that. The music's great, and
Thank
for
you.
those who don't know, we'll talk about the Kansas relationship,
Hmm.
because I think that's definitely worth noting. The album is comprised of great musicians. Talk about that, and let's talk about the recording process too.
Absolutely. So, well, Kansas is, besides Rush, is my favorite band of all time. So,
Yeah.
playing in a band where there's a lead violinist and singer is like, well, there's
Who
a
happens
connection
to
there.
be in Kansas now.
And he now happens to be in Kansas. Yeah. So Joe Deninzon, who Joe and I have a relationship going back about 10 years. For those who know some of the work that I've done, I've been working with Mark Wood, probably the most famous electric violinist in the world, where we both worked with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. We met back then, and I've been working with Mark for over 10 years now. And we have a camp. Mark has a camp, an orchestral rock camp in Kansas, ironically, in the state of Kansas, every summer. And my first year there, I met Joe. And it just turns out, being from the East Coast, he was playing with a lot of musicians I was playing with. In fact, I was in a band with the guitarist of Stratospheerius at the time. And he goes, you should sit in with Stratospheerius. I said, who is it? He said, Joe Deninzon's band. They're a progressive rock band. They're a little more fusion jazz. I said, oh, let me take a listen. And then we started playing together. I started subbing at first, and one thing led to another. And we really started going in this direction. And I told him, I said, listen, if you really want to go the direction you want to go in, I think you really need to sell it full out. And so we really started to go more into this sort of melodic progressive rock, thing with, a lot of stuff thrown in, classical and jazz and that sort of thing. But for the most part, it's a melodic progressive rock record.
Yeah.
Sounding very, very much like Kansas. And then, of course, in the last year, Joe got the gig with Kansas, and now everything just sort of makes sense and all comes together.
Yeah. It's great stuff. A lot of
Hey.
syncopation and
Yep.
lines being run in unison. Joe
Yep.
did a great job producing it. And by the way, folks, it comes in a really beautiful trifold. You still get so much more. And again, great work by Jody there on the back.
Amazing.
Really
Yeah, that
great
was a
stuff.
separate photo shoot we did when we did the Outrage Olympics video. We did a photo shoot at the art factory where we were doing the video, and she turned it into professional photos that we did, and then also photoshopped it as a what would be in the record like that. So that came out great.
Yeah, it is great. I think that Voodoo Vortex and Chasing the Dragon are probably my two favorite songs.
Chasing the Dragon is like out of this world, man.
Yeah, it's like the epic of the album, really.
It is. Yeah. 14, 13 minutes long, and yeah.
It's great. It really is. Folks, if you're into prog rock and want something that has hints, if you're old enough to know what hints of the past would be, or you're just like Steven, familiar with older music, early Kansas, Genesis, stuff like that, and you're into that, this has hints of this. It does not sound dated, though. It just came out, and it sounds like it just came out, which is great. And I love about that, what I love about that the most is that progressive rock isn't just still alive, but it's very much more back than it was 20, 30 years ago in America anyway, North America. It pretty much kind of went away when the hair metal came, when the new wave came in America. No one kind of wanted anything to do with prog. It was all in the Scandinavian countries and Europe and whatnot. But now it's back, and there's a lot of really neat American bands, some even instrumental, doing some great prog, and this is one of them. It's really a great album.
Yeah, well, one of the things. Thank you so much for that. Your opinion is incredibly valuable to me.
Oh, thanks. My wife never says that, by the way.
Well, welcome to marriage. So, no, sorry, honey. One of the things. So, when I was working with Neil Morris, for those who don't know, I was subbing for Mike Portnoy for a couple of years in the Neil Morris band, and Neil is my Paul McCartney. He's like one of the greatest writers of all time, with Transatlantic and Spock Speared and his band, the Neil Morris Band. And through Neil, I met Rich Mouser, and Rich is the engineer who mixed everything by Spock, anything by Neil, stuff by Dream Theater, so on and so forth. And the cool thing about Rich is that he really truly understands the essence of progressive music, but doesn't date it. It always sounds like we did it yesterday, like any band did it. Yeah. I mean, you could even listen to Spock Speared records from 20 years ago and go, it sounds like it was just mixed.
Yeah, that's cool.
And we wrote our first song, Impostor. This is, by the way, this has been like about a 5 or 6 year journey on this record, which has been crazy. Yeah, it's been a long journey. But when we wrote Impostor about 4 or 5 years ago, I said to Joe, we got to really just give Rich a chance to mix this. I think you're going to be happy. And man, did he knock it out of the park. And Joe was like, we have to have him do the whole record. And that was one of the things that took some time. Rich is so busy with these humongous bands in this genre that we had to kind of share his time. And it also took us some time to to get this music together the right way we wanted and the right members. Halfway through the record, Bill Hubauer from the Neil Morse Band on keyboard came in and started to do some work with us. So it was a very kind of long, but like very careful process to getting this record done.
That's awesome. A couple comments going back to the book real quick because I didn't see the comments before. Steven, our producer, Steven Schinder says, for some readers, a couple hundred pages might feel daunting, varies from person to person. 100 might feel accessible to some. And I think it's also there. I'm guessing it's probably different when it's more of an instructional book and there's music notation and, whether it's all that or mixed in. I don't know how much that factors in, but that's a good point. And John Reed watching from Shelby, North Carolina on Facebook. We're live on Facebook and YouTube as we're broadcasting. And Steve says he feels like prog continues to evolve, which it does. There was a time where it felt like it just went away. Like even some of the prog bands at the same time were much, much less prog. Of course, Genesis, even Peter Gabriel's putting out more commercial stuff. Rush kind of didn't really get out of their element, but I remember when Signals came out, a lot of people freaked out.
Yeah.
It goes on, but things circle back and I just really am digging this. Now you mentioned the work that Joe did with like an orchestra camp. I'm going to show a video and then you tell us if this is where that came from or if this is something else.
Yeah.
And Star Wars fans, pay attention. I dig that. Is that what that's from? One of those camps?
Yeah, so that's Mark Wood's camp. That was one of Mark Wood's original arrangements of March of the Montagues and the John Williams piece. And I have to take credit that that was not my drum part. I want to say, I don't know whose drum part that. It might have been Jeff Plates from Trans-Siberian Orchestra because he worked with him. And this is an older arrangement. Mark brings back some songs to play with the orchestra, depending on the size of the orchestra and depending on the intensity of the orchestra. And actually, one thing, if you listen up close, if you hear there's a little distortion. It was actually my phone on the stand. I didn't use a towel, so it was
vibrating.
I did not notice that. But that's a fun one to play. Mark's great with that type of stuff because he really loves, like me, he loves to sort of pile the plates on with arrangement. And he likes a lot of like duplicating melodies and duplicating parts and if like something's going, he likes that on the feet.
The layers,
the layers and stuff like that, Yeah, so it's a fun thing. So that's Mark's orchestral camp, and then that's where Joe and I met all these other string players.
Cool. What are the age ranges of people that can attend that?
It's almost every age.
Really?
I don't think it's below 10 or 11 or 12. And it goes up to people are, some people are in the 70s, 80s playing.
Wow.
But it's mostly a middle-aged type of thing. What it is you're going to get
Hey, wait. I remember when middle age was like mid 30s. What is middle age now?
We're both past that. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Damn. But it's one of its only kind of a camp. It's first of all, it's rock music with orchestra. It's
cool.
It's orchestrated rock music, and it's also the way that he has it kind of laid out is that every string player in the world that plays this type of music is brought in to teach at the camp. So they all have specialties. So that what you're seeing is just a normal orchestral rehearsal, but during the day we have classes. So I'm teaching a rhythm class, and Joe Deninzon's teaching a class of
Oh,
how to play with pedals and get different distortion sounds. And
oh,
Chuck
wow.
Bontrager is doing like metal on violin, and Mark's doing soloing, and like there's just all
Yeah.
these different topics. So people from all these orchestras around the world, and big orchestras too, come and learn from these guys. It's really cool.
Well, I think we have a member of, one of the attendees rather, I'll put the comment up.
Madison,
Madison
yeah,
Smith
hi
says
Madison. That was
he
her in
gave
the
us a
video,
great.
actually.
Oh, was it? He gave
Yeah,
us a
yeah,
great
she was right in
lesson
front of me.
cutting?
Yeah,
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 that's cool.
yeah.
That's awesome. It sounds fun, and do you play other rock songs that were already orchestrated, like stuff like by Keith Emerson or Rick
Yep.
Wakeman or Genesis, stuff like that?
Yeah, we did Watch Where the Skies a couple years ago, and a lot of times what it would be is that like songs that are songs are chosen based on the amount of orchestration already in it, whether the definition of orchestration is just keyboard or piano, or if it is actually is strings.
Yeah.
Like we did like Life on Mars by Bowie, and the
Yeah,
orchestration's already there, right?
right.
But we also like last year we did Foreplay Long Time by Boston, so all that all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Mark has to go in and like, take the keyboard, the Hammond part, and like orchestrate that for strings.
right.
It's really cool, man. When you
That's
hear it,
fun.
with the whole orchestra playing, you're like, whoa, this is
There's so
amazing.
much music to choose from. I mean, even just
Oh
the whole
yeah.
album by Yes of Magnification that is
Oh
with an
yeah.
orchestra instead of a keyboard player. You got what John Lord did for Deep Purple,
Yep.
all that stuff that was orchestrated. There's so much great music out there to pick from and to
Absolutely.
also turn into something like that. So it's really cool. It sounds like a really fun project.
Very fun. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
great. Now, I want to show everybody something else. This is a project we've been promoting your interview with, and something that I remember seeing this online. And I called you. I said, "Hey, can we put this on Drone Talk TV?" And it was when you met those guys in Venezuela, and there's
Oh yeah.
the split screen. Talk about that. We'll show that video first, then the other video of
Yep.
you playing your kid
The
at
real
home
song.
with your
Yep.
kid.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Talk about that project, how that evolved, and we'll show both videos.
So that was like a complete like, softball lob over the fence. I had a well, first of all, I'm not one much for covers. I don't mind cover music. I don't mind drummers sitting down and doing covers. And in fact, my wife has told me I should do more of it because it'll be more popular on social media. But I had a list in front of me on my computer, and it was a bunch of like big projects I wanted to do or had to do. And one of them was play along with this track. And so one day I was searching, so I don't remember where I got the search from, but I found this band called Compasses from Venezuela, and I think they're from Caracas, and they were playing in this downtown area, and it said Jaropo Dream Theater, and I went, what the hell does that mean? And Jaropo, for anybody who knows Jaropo is the folkloric style of Venezuela,
Yeah.
and it originally there's a style in Mexico called ranchero, um,
Yeah.
and it's using all these styles. Excuse me, it's using all this instrumentation from folklore in these countries to create modern music. So in Joropo, there's a harp, there's cuatro guitar, there's maraca, there's all this type of stuff. And I watched it and went, oh my God. I mean, it was like the most advanced music I ever heard in my life. And I was like, I've got to just do a play along with this. So there's no drum part. I wrote a drum part. I played along the side by side thing. I just threw it out there and it went viral.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, and Compass contacted me and said, "We want you to play this on our record coming up." So that's when I said, "Yep," and I recorded it.
So
And
we'll show the first video,
yep.
then we'll show the second one. And one of the things that got me was, I don't know if you know this, but I sort of play the quattro guitar. I have one.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
it's right there.
Oh yeah. Uh huh.
See it there on that?
Yeah.
That's on the top right by my mandolin. And I fell in love with that instrument because John Anderson broke that
Yep.
out early on and used it on going for the one
Young Brothers Band.
album and
Yeah.
other things moving forward. And I just like, oh, I really want one of those. So I got one, and it's really hard to learn, especially if your primary instrument is not a stringed instrument like me. But that really caught my eye in this video. But this is great. So here's the video Jason's talking about, where he created a drum part
Right.
for this.
Correct.
Grief, those guys are effing ripping.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
that's like not even half the video, folks. That's
Yeah.
so cool. And then now we'll show what actually ended up being a professional recording, and it's just
Yeah.
Jason in the video. But this is great.
That's correct.
That video is actually almost 5 minutes long. I just love that stuff. If I came across them busking, I would empty my pockets. I'd say, "Hey, I only have $100, but do you take plastic?" I mean, it is just so good. And that one guy in the first video soloing, and the other guy's just ripping away in the background. And did I see another gentleman's playing castanets in the
Yeah.
background?
Mhm.
It's just crazy. It is so good. And what you did with it is so good with the,
Thank you.
the syncopation and the time signature changes and things. This is great.
Yeah, I mean that was like I had to sit down and approach, and this is sort of more my classical background, thankfully, for all the studies I put in classical, but I had to really think of that as not any type of style that we normally play. Like I had to think of it
Right.
as a classical arrangement. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
where I could put in grooves or polymetric stuff, I put it in. The rest of it was linear, like almost following lines or melodies in a way.
Yeah.
And some of it was metric modulation, some of it was groupings of fives or sevens, things like that. And a lot of it you have to really know about, like the borrowed groupings in a phrase. Like if you're in three, if you hear a grouping of five or something, you have to really know how to like sort of write that out and go, oh, okay, I think they meant that to be a quintuplet or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was actually a play along. That actually wasn't the recording on the record. That was a play along to the song. So
Oh,
it was exactly what I played on the record,
yeah.
but it was me mixing it in my basement to do like a play along.
Yeah. Got it.
And that's what they fell in love with. They're like, the part that you wrote is so perfect for this. And that's why we want it on the record. And believe it or not, I haven't even heard if the record has come out yet officially, but they're a
Oh.
Latin Grammy nominated band, and
Wow.
hoping it goes somewhere.
Yeah. So did you play to more than just that song?
Just that song. Just that song. Yeah.
Is it
A lot.
possible you would work with them again?
Yeah, I hope so. My hope was that it would be one of these things that gets enough notoriety where they're brought down to play on some Latin Grammy type shows, or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard. I know that there was some hang up with the record, as far as some legal stuff and some
Never heard of
manipulating and
that
stuff.
before.
Yeah, right. Yeah, music business.
No, that's a
Um,
shame, but I hope it gets all worked out. I hear that music and see you play it and then play, and I think that there are some chops there that could absolutely produce film music with that. I could totally see that in a chase scene or something, just a whole bunch of jump cuts and stuff. It's really good and it's fun to listen to, and to watch them play it
yeah.
is really cool. It's great.
I hear the folkloric aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know it's modern, and I know it's like real progressive, that sort of thing. But I, I'm approaching it more from like, okay, a classical orientation of or arrangement of the folkloric stuff. It just happens to be modern, a modern arrangement with the odd meters and the polyrhythms and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great. And the guy on the harp, I mean,
And the bass player is
yeah.
I keep in touch with him online, and
Oh, good.
I see him like play funk and I mean, he's ripping, like
Oh,
ripping
really?
there. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome. I'd
yeah.
love to see you do more stuff with them.
Me too.
Cool. So besides the book that's right on the horizon from you, what else do you have going on that you can talk about?
I've actually never been busier in my life. Whether or not it's all the great busy stuff, I'm not really 100% sure, but I'm sitting in with some really great bands in New York City right now. In fact, tomorrow night I have a gig with a band called Royal Scam, which is
Yeah. The
one of the
Steely
more
Dan
well-known
band.
Steely Dan bands. Oh yeah, we did the interview
Yeah.
with Gino, and
Yeah.
we've become very good friends since. And they are a great band, man. I
Yeah.
mean, like, there's obviously tribute bands that are like, okay, but they are a superb band. So I'm honored to really be playing with them. I've been sort of second chair on Rubik's Cube for a while, which is a really well-known 80s band, corporate band in the
Right.
New York area. And that's been great. And still doing Broadway and doing a lot of teaching and stuff. And there's a lot of stuff sort of with all this stuff going on, there's a lot of stuff brewing underneath too, that if
Yeah.
something sort of pops through, it's going to be big. So very, very busy. The fact that I actually need a vacation, I need some time off, but I'm very blessed to be as busy as I am. So no
Yeah,
complaining.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And for those who don't know, Jason and I had an original series on Trump Talk TV called A Tribute to the Tributes, where we would find a tribute band that was so good, we would feature them and we would break down what makes them such a good tribute band and why it's important as a musician to learn from what they're doing and how they're doing it, because there's a difference. If I could just take a page from our own show,
Hmm.
we talk about how there's a difference when you walk into a pub or something, or whether it's a wedding or a bris or a quinceañera or whatever, there's a band playing, and let's say they play a Leonard Skinner song, a Bad Company song, a Led Zeppelin song, a ACT song, but they all sound like the band you're seeing,
Yeah.
opposed to a tribute band that really nails the sounds of the instruments, the styles of the different players, and they sound like the band that they're emulating. And that's the big difference. And then
Yeah.
the role play bands where they would actually recreate the stage and the fashion and everything of a certain band's tour, like Genesis we saw, and things like that. We featured, I remember, the Iron Maidens, the all-female tribute to Iron
Yeah.
Maiden, and a bunch of others. So hopefully, as busy as we both are, hopefully we can get back on that. I would love to do that show again. It was so
Oh,
much fun.
I would too. And it's been an interesting path for me because I never wanted to do any sort of cover bands ever. And I mean, a lot of my original bands have started off with cover songs, and we
Yeah,
do Stratospheerius. You were mentioning, I know you know that we did Frame by Frame, the King
yeah,
Crimson song. But like, I never really wanted to be in a tribute band or anything like that. But um, you and I have spoken about this several times on our show, and how tribute bands these days are a really great means of financial support for musicians these days, especially the
yeah.
better ones.
Oh gosh, you get corporate gigs, you make bank.
Yeah, and so I have been selective with it. I've
Yeah,
been very selective in regards to the fact that if I'm going to play with this band, they need to sound like the band, or they need to really put on, like Rubik's Cube puts on the most amazing show, because we're
yeah,
playing all this 80s stuff, but the singers, there's two singers, a female and a male, and they change between every single song. So he'll come out and look like, the lead singer of, Spandau Ballet on one song, and then she'll come out and look like Madonna, and then he'll come back and look like whatever. And on top of it, the band sounds exactly like the 80s songs.
So cool.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to get in a band that's a tribute act just to say I'm going to do it. And
Right.
I've had being involved with Ultimate Queen and Real Scam. I've had a lot of people who've asked me to join their band, and I've turned several people down because of either, well, just being, thankfully busy, or for
Yeah.
the fact that I really want it to be a very, very good, purposeful product
Yeah.
rather than just saying, okay, I'm going to do another tribute band,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having standards.
Yeah.
Yeah. But seriously, folks, if you're in a really great tribute band and you get some gig like the Minolta National Convention or holiday party or something,
Oh, yeah.
there's bands that are pulling 5 figures doing stuff like that.
Rubik's Cube does a really cool thing where they're so well known in that world that they often have star singers come up and sing with us. Now I'm not on all the gigs, but they've done stuff with like Richard Marx having a night with Rubik's Cube as the backing band. The other night I played and Hank Azaria came up and sang with us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, things like that, and those are the type of gigs where you go, okay, this is really worthwhile playing, besides fun and besides a really good, job of being a really high-end corporate thing. This is a great band and it's a lot of fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if
You
you
know
stop
what?
having fun,
I gotta tell you something. Let me find this little note. I don't know if I still have it.
yeah.
One sec. So you mentioned Hank Azaria, and last night Enja and I watched Spinal Tap
Oh,
because I'm talking about it on a podcast
okay.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And tomorrow or Sunday, that one's on, yeah, tomorrow. And they wanted me to talk about the music of Spinal Tap, and I hadn't watched it since it came out, actually.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
only thing I remembered about it is that my name is in the movie. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, no.
So it's in one of the scenes where he's interviewing them and they're sitting outside.
Outside, yeah.
Yeah, and I had the timestamp because I let our team know. Maybe Steve can look that up real quick in the post that I put in our team Slack, Steve. I think it's like at an hour and 4 minutes and 22 seconds or something like that. But they're talking about drummers, all their past drummers, and the ones that exploded. And then they're saying there's
Oh,
this guy, and then there's little Danny Schinder, and this and that.
I
And
didn't even pick up on that.
yeah,
Oh my
check it
God.
out. I told the story to my team that I was tearing up the Sunset Strip in the early and mid 80s with a prog band. What the fuck are we doing? And
Yeah.
we're playing with bands like Motley Crue, Great White, all those 80s rock bands. We were
Mhm.
playing at the same places together. Madam Wong's, Whiskey,
Whiskey,
the
yeah.
Troubadour, and Rob
Yeah.
Reiner used to come and see us. I'd see him at the Troubadour.
Oh,
Lo and behold, that movie comes out and my name is in it.
that's amazing. And I'm such a huge fan of that movie. I can't believe I didn't pick up on that. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
it just goes by so fast. He almost just
Yeah.
sort of utters the name, but it's clearly little
Wow.
Danny Schinder. And hey, I'm not that tall,
Hey, and if you ever get a chance, and this is so hilarious, watch the DVD, the commentary of the DVD with Christopher Guest, and
Oh,
like they get in their character and they're commenting on the movie.
oh, like a
And it's
director's
yeah, like a
cut in
director's cut.
character. Oh, I'm
It's
gonna
funnier
buy
than
it.
the movie. It's so funny.
I've never
Yeah.
even known that was out. We'll
Oh,
buy that.
hilarious.
Yeah,
Hilarious. Yeah.
it was fun.
Yeah.
Interesting though, the version we watched, it cut out the scene, it cut out the whole Stonehenge thing. And I don't know why. So we after the movie, we looked it up and watched that scene on YouTube.
On
And
YouTube.
I hadn't
Yeah.
seen the movie in so long that I couldn't even really contextualize where that scene would have appeared. But it was over, and we're both like, wait, did we miss? And just said, no, they didn't show that. So I
Oh.
thought that was weird. Maybe because what we saw was a version cut for TV or something. I don't know. We saw it on Peacock or one of
Mhm.
those networks, but it was fun to watch. It's funny that you mentioned Hank. So what song did you back with Hank Azaria?
He's in a newly formed Bruce Springsteen cover band. So
Oh,
we played
wow.
"Dancing in the Dark."
Oh, cool.
I posted it on Facebook. Everyone can see it. It's a couple edits, entries down
Cool.
on my Facebook, and I just posted a quick section of it. He's just learning how to do. He's not anything like really special, but it's funny from a guy that does so many voices, like on The Simpsons and so on and so forth. you'd expect him to be, this amazing singer, and he was, he's not, but it was just fun having him, and he's a sweet, sweet guy, so it was
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's great. Next time you're on, I want to show some Rubik's Cube clips. I
sure.
think that'd be really fun. And Royal Scam, too. Let's show some of the other stuff that you're doing. We'll talk about the new book. And we'll also talk about, can drummers play, or any musician for that matter,
Yeah,
can they play without reading music? Of course. But I'd love to have the conversation of why it is important to have at least a foundational understanding of written notation and whatnot. Even if you're
yeah.
not going to be a studio musician who needs to sight read, how it simply helps you to understand music, and how figures play into the bigger picture of music and what you're playing. I think that'd be a fun topic, and we
Yeah, it
could have
could
the
be.
audience chime in as well.
Yeah, it could be a long topic, but it could be a fun one. But I'll just give food for thought and say that a lot of that is about goals and about where you picture yourself as sort of like a final goal of, what do you expect to be doing, or do you want to teach? Do you want to play studio? Do you want to play this type of music? Or do you want to just kind of play in your local rock bands and,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing?
Oh, I
So,
don't play in bands anymore, so my wife says he just likes to play with himself. But
yeah,
anyway, here's a comment from Steve. Steve looked it up, and he's in a movement right now. It's like trying to pass a bill with Congress to change the letter D to the letter F.
around.
So,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
if you folks see that petition, please sign it. But
around.
yeah, it's around an hour and 7 minutes and 42 seconds. If you're watching with Steve, I'm just teasing you. He's gonna hammer me after this. And
It's
he's right.
amazing.
It was on Pluto TV is where we watch it. So maybe that's why it was cut out. And the other thing I was surprised about it, and maybe you have a better memory of the movie than I do, I was just about to say to Enja, I thought it was really neat that there was so far no drug use or anything. And right after I was going to say that, there's a dressing room scene where one woman gives another woman a little
Mm,
snort of something.
right.
So
Yeah.
is that the only scene of any kind of drug use, or was there other stuff that I just don't remember?
As far as I remember, I think so. I think there was drinking.
Okay. I thought it was
You
cool
know.
that they kept it basically clean in that regard,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's the best thing about the movie is it's more about just the funny parts, not the funny part, but like more the ironic parts of the music business and
And a
how
lot of that stuff came from real stories,
real stories. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure that Hank's character was modeled after Lemmy from Motorhead.
Oh
It
yeah,
had
yeah,
to have
yeah.
been.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Little things like that, on the manager stuff, the little Stonehenge thing. What a great movie. Now I want to watch it again
Of
already.
course, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, folks, thank you so much for following what we do. We have some fun stuff going on in Drum Talk TV. Right there, you can read the little ticker at the bottom as Drum Talk TV Brilliance. And I'll give a little Steve could put it in the comments. Oh, Steve's not on board. I will put it in the comments. You can go ahead and go to that website and put in, here's a free code to get a free year, DTTV free. Go ahead, go there on me, register with DTTV free for a full year. That code is good till October 15th. Join us for free. We have live stream concerts, live stream Q&As with audience where the fans ask the questions. And we have game shows that are super fun. We just did a Led Zeppelin trivia show the other day. It was super fun. Great prizes, not just for drummers. It's not just for drummers shop. And we also have a brilliance showcase where you can play along to your favorite music, submit those videos, and they'll never be muted or pulled. We don't have that algorithm to do that. We don't have to have that algorithm to do that because we're not monetizing that part. That part is behind the paywall, or it's not behind the paywall, but use that code, get in for free. We'd love to see you. Right now, we're having a John Bonham challenge where you can play to any Led Zeppelin
Step
or
long.
Zeppelin song, and we're having two
Yeah.
guest judges I can't reveal yet. They're going to help us decide who first, second, third place is, and first place is a $150 gift certificate to your favorite music store, no matter where you live in the world. So lots of fun stuff. Sign up. You don't have to be a musician to enjoy it, just like everything else that we do in Drum Talk TV. But Jason, more importantly than thanking you for taking time, which of course I appreciate so late at night, please thank Jody for me for letting you come out and play. We appreciate it.
I will, and I have to thank. I have to just tell you how much I love you, in the
Okay.
fact that the Mets are playing right now, and I don't even
Good
know what
grief.
the score is. So don't tell me, don't tell me.
Okay.
But I'd rather be with you because I think I
Thank
know
you.
what the end result's going to be anyway. No, really, seriously, thanks. I mean, you and I have done a lot of stuff together on the channel, and it's mostly been like a team thing. And this is one of the first times that we did like a really good interview, and I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, thanks.
For
We've done
everything.
short little things at NAM
Yeah,
shows and things, but yeah, this is the
yeah.
first, like, this is what Jason's all about. So, in closing, give it up. What is your fun fact? This is a Jason Gianni fun fact segment. When you're not writing a book, when you're not doing session work, when you're not touring, when you're not gigging, when you're not doing anything that has anything to do with music or taking your daughter to a dorm for college,
Right.
what do you like to do for fun? What's your thing outside of the musical box? No pun intended.
Yeah, it's been so long that I've actually picked up a hobby. I don't even remember, to be honest with you, but a lot of it's it's always family stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I hate to sound kind of cliched, but like, especially as you get older, you start to really think about the things that really matter to you.
yes,
And being with, whether it's immediate family like my wife and my daughter, or being with extended family, and really kind of taking those moments in, I think is really, really important.
that's great.
Because I almost feel like in a lot of ways the things that you do as a profession is, you love what you do, and I'm glad I do this, but it's not real. The family thing is real. It's real life. It's real
Right.
emotions. It's that
That's
sort of
such a
thing.
great way to put it. And how long have you and Jody been married?
We've been married for, this is our 25th year anniversary, silver
Oh,
anniversary,
wow.
right, honey? But we've been together for 33 years.
Wow.
We're,
What's
we're
made it work?
we were kids. Uh,
Yeah, they were like 8,
I mean,
by the way, folks. They were like 8 years old.
yeah. I'm not gonna age. I'm not gonna date myself right now. I'm gonna age myself. But God, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, honesty. Meeting young, having a lot of the same interests, but like, just I mean, like everything takes work. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
nothing is without work, and
Yeah.
we've never
Nothing
really
worth
had
having. Yeah.
we've never really had to, even with our daughter, we've never really had to like go overboard to make it work, and there's been extreme struggles or anything. We never hear that. We've been really, like, really lucky that it hasn't been that way. But it
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's without, it's without work. And
That's right. Yeah.
as long as you can understand each other and work at it, and really support what each other does. I mean, this what you're seeing here is her. I mean, she allowed me and supported me and to build a studio, to have a life like this. She doesn't mind when I go out of town. It's always hard, but there's never a fight about it. And I think you have to just be very overly understanding of each other in a successful uh, family, whatever it might be. You have to all be understanding of each other. Yeah.
Right. No, that's great. Um, One last thing, and then
Yeah.
Steve's texting me a note real quick. Steve,
Okay.
remind me of where that is and what the name of it is.
Okay.
What, and this is a family show. I'm going to preface this question by
Yeah, sure.
reminding you of that. But
Yeah.
what's one of the things you and Jody, when it's just the two of you, what do you like to do? Do you go to the movies, watch something at home? Do you play a game? Do you go out?
We um we love, with our daughter too, we love our couch time. We love
Oh,
our double-sided fireplace in our den, and my side of the couch is next to the fireplace, and Bella's side of the couch is in the middle of the couch, and Jody's is on the other side. And we just love our couch time, and just being, we don't have to talk. We could just be in a room with each other and just do that. Now, at the same time, you know, we love when we have the time, in which we haven't had, we love the vacation, and
yeah.
we need to get away.
You need to come to Arizona in the mountains and
Yeah.
visit us.
Well, I
That's
have
what
a.
you
Oh,
need to
I
do.
forgot to tell you, I have a gig coming up in December
Oh,
in
that's right.
Phoenix.
We got to
Yeah,
talk about that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'll be with Mark Wood out in Phoenix at the Higley Center.
Oh, we'll
Um.
definitely do that.
Anyway,
Well,
but yeah,
I love the couch thing because that's me and Enja's thing. We can be anywhere in the house. The dogs and cats, 3 dogs, 2 cats can be anywhere. And all we got to do, one of us yell, I got to be careful or they'll think it's on.
Mhm.
and it's time to watch a movie. And all 3 dogs and 2 cats will take their places on these 2 big 8-foot couches. I'm on one, she's on the.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. So I get that. I have a real nice treat for everybody. We are going to play. We're going to cap this off before we say goodbye to Jason. We're going to cap this off with the Stratospheerius single, which is Outrage Olympics.
Yep.
Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. Check this out, folks.
To death, we walk on eggshells. Guilty till we're proven innocent. So welcome to this brave new world. Now learn the new linguistics. If you're not woke, you'll never win the outrage Olympics. Righteous praise, they're so damn sensitive. Pledge allegiance to their narrative. Come and join the Inquisition. Bow down to the new religion. So shut your mouth or lose your job. The walls are always listening. Just dodge the bullet one more day in the outrage Olympics. The trigger happy Gansy coat convicts you with no witness. They're cheering as they watch you burn in the outrage Olympics.
So good.
Thank you, man.
You know, I said this was a family show. That is such effing good art direction.
Oh yeah.
What's that all about? That was so well done.
So we filmed that in 2 spots. We filmed it. There's a local right around here. There's a local studio called Alpha Wave, run by my very good friend David Silver, who ran 2 amazing wedding bands, and it's drummer himself, great drummer. And he now shoots video and audio and all that kind of stuff regular studio. So we did the playing parts there.
There.
And then there's in Paterson, New Jersey, there's a place called Art Factory, which is an old, literally a factory, a brick building, you know, from like the early 1900s, that was converted into all these art studios. And there's
Nice.
weddings there, and it's, you know, the old school lights that are hanging
Yeah.
down and brick walls and stuff. And
Perfect.
you know, yeah, it's so perfect. And the song's about you know, Outrage Olympics is about cancel culture and about feeling like you're being watched and judged. You know, so everything was about like you know, the surveillance cameras.
Yeah.
And, you know, being judged and everything like that. And it came out so far better than we thought it would come out. You know, Joe did a wonderful job storyboarding it ahead of time and really laying it all out. And then the guys produced it, and we just went, "Oh my god, that's!"
I know
everything
it
we
made me want to tell you even more. You guys got to take this on the road. I mean, it looks
Yeah.
digging on the red Pisces, by the way. It's
wanted.
just- yeah, that did not go
They're in the other
unnoticed.
room. They're in the other room.
But really great job. It was great having you on. Hang on the line with me. I know Steve's going to
Yeah.
jump on and wants to chat. And I want to thank Steven Schinder for being such A+ producer here at Drum Talk TV. And folks, again, please check out what we have for you at our membership site, DTTV Free. You get a free year, no catch. And we have some great artists. We got Nigel Glockler from 6x6 and Saxon that's going to do a fan Q&A. We have Rudy Sarzo of Quiet Riot, of Whitesnake, of Ozzy. I mean, we have some really great artists lined up, not just drummers, and waiting for others to pick dates. So please sign up, join us, and thanks so much for following what we do wherever we are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo, X, and I feel like I'm missing something. Coming to TikTok very soon, and we'll have Jason on again real soon. Thanks, folks. So